What up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Power Book 4 Force, Season 1, Episode 8. You guys, the episode was titled He Ain't Heavy? Is that what the episode was titled? He Ain't Heavy? Or He Ain't Ready? I think it said He Ain't Heavy. I'll make sure to correct it on the screen and in the title as well. But before we go ahead and jump into it, you guys, if you guys are watching this video or any other on my channel and are not subscribed to my channel, I mean, you guys are doing me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and share the video. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss Power Book 4 Force, shall we? All right, guys, I'm going to start this episode up, and we're going to talk about the Flynns real quick. So we see Walter. So Walter is with his doctor, right? So the doctor tells him he has stage 1 small cell lung cancer, right? So his situation is not dire like his wife's situation was, right? So his situation can be manageable. He can still live. And only thing is, they need to get Walter into, they need to discuss his treatment, right? But we all know how pig-headed Walter is. So Walter, he ain't finna go for the shit, right? So then we see Walter, he met up with Claudia, right? So he asks her, what is she up to? She says, nothing, right? He says, bullshit, Claudia, because he says 2 of his guys are missing. And remember, in the episode when the Fed showed up, Claudia wasn't there, right? So he says, he's going to find out what she's up to. And when he finds out what she's up to, he's going to crush it, right? He tells her, you're just like Vic. You're stupid and reckless. I'm like, damn, Walter? I mean, it is the disrespect with Walter. Walter ain't got no problem disrespecting the fuck out of Claudia and fucking Victor. He has absolutely no issues with doing that. And it's just like, wow, you ain't shit. So then we see Bennigan. So Bennigan is leaving the station, right? So then there's this guy that follows Bennigan out of the station. So the guy asks Bennigan, how long have you been in Flynn's pocket, right? So Bennigan is explaining to him, like, I got these medical expenses with my sister. He said, yeah, I know, your sister's fucked up. I was like, Bennigan, punch this motherfucker in the face, right? I don't fuck with you. I don't like you like that. But this motherfucker is flat out disrespectful. Throat check that nigga. So he asked him how much are the Flynns paying him, right? So they're paying him $100K, right? He says, okay, so from that $100K, I want $50K. He says, I can't pay for my sister's medical expenses today. Basically told him, I don't give a fuck, right? But I'm going to give you some time to figure that shit out, right? Yeah, that nigga, he would catch a motherfucking bullet. So then we see Victor and Bennigan. So they've met up, right? So Victor is asking Bennigan, what do the police know about this Dahlia thing, right? They don't know anything about it at this point, right? They know nothing. So Vic says, I want you to pick up the person that's behind it. And Bennigan tells him, like, that ain't my job. Like, I don't do shit. That's not my job. I don't do that, right? So the reason that Vic wants him picked up, whoever's behind this picked up, is so that I guess Vic wants to, because it's cutting into their business, right? So Vic is looking out for the family business, right? And Bennigan also told him, like, well, if you want me to do this, it's going to be dope. He says, I already got you covered, right? So he gives him the money. So then we see Walter. So Walter is telling Victor, like, hey, when it comes down to Claudia, I need you to find out what the fuck your sister is up to, right? And who she's doing what with. So he tells him, I need you to do it now. So then Walter says he doesn't like the fact that Claudia is being deceptive. And Victor says, well, are you going to tell Claudia that you're sick? He says, no. I'm like, well, Pot, meat kettle. You are not telling her what your sickness is. She ain't telling you about her business dealings. So y'all in the same fucking boat at this point, right? Y'all in the same fucking boat. The same boat. So miss me with the bullshit, right? So then Victor's telling Walter how, he gonna be with Gloria. Gloria's gonna be his wife and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that, buddy. I don't really know about that one. So then we see Walter, right? So Walter has called Tommy over to the crib, right? So Walter wants to offer Tommy a position in his organization. Tommy says, fuck no, right? So then Walter is talking about the fact that Gloria is coming between his family, right? And how he wished that Tommy had continued fucking her. Tommy's like, your son loves that girl, right? And I can see that. I'm like, damn, Walter, the disrespect. The disrespect. So then we later see Walter as he's talking to Polly, right? Polly is really trying to get it through Walter's thick skull that when it comes to your kids, you are alienating them, right? And you know, Walter feels that Vic, he ain't ready for this shit, right? Which obviously he's not ready for it, right? And Polly says, well, you have someone that might be ready for it, talking about Claudia. But we all know he doesn't feel that women should be in charge, right? And he also doesn't want to bring on Dahlia, even though Dahlia might be good for the business going forward. But hey, he's stuck in the Stone Ages, right? So then we see that Gloria is back. Hey, Gloria, how you doing? So Victor went to see her. He tells her that, they should get out of Chicago at this point. And he tells her, hey, I paid off your debt. And I also sold that land. And that's how I paid off your debt. So then we see Polly. Polly went to Victor. Victor, he told Victor, like, hey, I just want to check on you. I'm going to go check on my son. And then he's telling, Victor that, you're a good one, right? Even if your daddy don't see it. But then he tells him that, Tommy had met with Walter. Walter offered him a position. He says, I knew I couldn't trust that motherfucker. And then also I have to mention that after Tommy had his meeting with Walter, he went to Victor, gave Victor this card that could not be traced, right? He told him get him and Gloria out of town, right? And what else happened? He said get him and Gloria out of town. Then he also said, what else? That was it. That was really it. He just said to get him and Gloria out of town. But we see how that ended up, right? We see how that ended up. It didn't go that well. All right, you guys. So this camera literally keeps fucking cutting off every time I'm recording. So I don't even know where I left off at. So I was talking about Victor and Gloria. So we see Gloria and Victor, right? So they were leaving Chicago, right? So this car came and T-boned them, right? After the car T-boned them, someone got out the car and he started spraying the car up, right? Now I did notice that I thought Victor had got shot in the head, right? Because you saw blood splatter all over Victor's face. So I thought Victor had got shot, but you see Gloria, she slumped over like this. So Victor lifts her up and she got shot right through here. So bye, Gloria. Rest in peace to Gloria, you guys. Rest in peace to Gloria. I kind of foreshadowed that Gloria wouldn't make it to the finale with us. Damn. This is episode 8. We only got 2 more episodes left and Gloria didn't make it to the finale. All right, you guys, so we're going to pause here and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys, so next up, let's talk about Diamond and Jannard, right? So we see Diamond and Jannard, so they're at this barbershop, right? So Diamond asked Jannard, like, what would he do with CBI if he were still in charge, right? And he says, he wouldn't have wasted so much time in the white world, right? But then he says that, Diamond says that they're making good money with that Serbian pipeline, right? So Jannard says, he would do whatever to secure the South Side. And by doing that, he would go with that, the new drug, Dahlia, right? So Diamond's like, but, when it comes to Dahlia, that's pretty much unknown for us, right? Which it is, right? So then we see Jannard and Blackston. They're talking, right? They're talking about Dahlia. And they want to know who's behind this, right? So Jannard wants some, people on the corners to find out who is behind it, right? So he says he got $20K for anyone who can tell him who is behind Dahlia. So then we see Claudia. So Claudia went to go meet with Diamond, right? So Claudia wants to make an offer to Diamond. She wants to give him 10%, right? Because of them having that Serbian pipeline, right? So Diamond is like, since you come at me with 10%, that means you got partners. And that also means that you ain't talked to your partners. So at this point, Claudia, it's going to be a what? A hell no for me. So you can skedaddle and get out, right? So then he asks her, does she know who's behind Dahlia? She says, goodbye, Diamond. So then we see Diamond and he's with Adrian, right? So he tells Adrian that, she knows who he is. and he knows who she is, right? So he asks her, so what were you doing in my booth that night, and what were you doing in my bed? So she tells him that she was writing a piece, right? And she was supposed to be meeting with Elijah. She was never supposed to see Diamond. She was supposed to meet with Elijah, but Elijah never showed up. We know why Elijah never showed up, because Elijah is unlived, right? So she said that, she thought that there was an angle there. And she was like, but, I ain't never had to sleep with nobody for this, for no story, right? So then we see these two fools, Blankston and the kid that got into it with D Mac in last week's episode, right? They came back. They told Jannard who was behind the Dahlia, right? These fools sitting here talking about some damn pilgrims. I'm like, some pilgrims? Pilgrims? I'm like, y'all really need to go back to school. Even Jannard said, y'all need to go back to school. Those are Hasidic Jews. I was like, not some fucking pilgrims. So they, Jannard gave them the 20K. The little young nigga, right? He gonna sit there and ask him, so how we split up this 20K? I was like, I hope he's joking, but I don't think he's joking. 20K, that's 10K a piece. That means Blankston gets 10K and you get 10K. How you don't know the math with that one? So then we see Jannard, right? My thing with Jannard is, how do you want to do business with people that don't know the difference between a pilgrim and a Jew, and they don't, and you got a kid that don't know that 20K split between two people is $10,000? Why do you want to work with these kids? Like, it just don't make any sense to me. But hey, maybe it makes sense in Jannard's brain, but it doesn't make sense in my brain. It just doesn't, right? So then we see Jannard. So Jannard pulls up on one of the Jews, right? And he's telling him to give him the drugs, right? Homeboy said no. So Jannard ended up taking Homeboy out and, leaving him there, right? I'm like, that's going to cause some backlash. I just don't want it to come back on my boy Diamond, right? I don't want nothing to come back on Diamond. These little baby kids, they fucking with the goddamn wasp. Where we at? So yeah, I just don't want this to come back on Diamond. So then we see Jannard. So Jannard is meeting up with, cousin from Gary, right? And he gives him Dahlia so that they can put it on the streets, right? Jannard is gonna fuck some shit up. I don't foresee Jannard lasting that long. I really don't foresee Jannard lasting too long. But you guys, we're gonna pause here and we're gonna wrap up the episode with talking about Tommy. All right, so we see Tommy and he's meeting up with Miss Soto and the Hasidic Jew, right? So he's doing a drop to them. He's telling them what the prices are and what the cut is, right? So then we see him and he's talking to Liliana. And with him and Liliana, they are talking about the doc, right? So they're talking about the fact of cutting up the drugs, right? Making the drugs, right? Liliana knows how to do it now, but with business ramping up, Tommy's like, we got to have all hands on deck, right? So he also feels that they should bring in another cook. So then we see him and JP. So they're over at their grandmother's house, and they are, I got to turn on some air. Sorry, you guys. It is getting hot. So we see him and JP. They're over at the grandmother's house, and they're pulling up some of the carpet, right? So JP got a message from the bank, right? So they're going to go through, they're going forward with the foreclosure of the club, as well as his father, he needs to get a stent, right? So money is a little tight. And Tommy's like, well, let me help you out. And JP says, no, because you guys remember, JP doesn't want basically a free handout. So he wants to basically feel like he is earning the money. Baby, I wouldn't give a fuck, right? You my brother, you offer me the money, bitch, I'ma take it. If you ain't got no strings to it, I'ma take the fucking money and run, right? So then we see Claudia and Tommy. So they're talking about, she's talking about the fact of she wants to bring in CBI on Dahlia. Tommy's like, absolutely. He would love to bring in CBI, But Tommy doesn't want to bring CBI in right now because of what's going on between Diamond and Jannard, right? Because he doesn't want it to be a war, and then he's still he's caught in the middle of it, right? So he doesn't want Jannard anywhere near it. So he says, he does want to work with Diamond because Diamond is his guy. But once everything is settled between them two, I guess then he'll want to go and work with Diamond. So then we see Liliana. So she's telling Tommy, you're right about having to get more cooks, right? Because the girls at the club, right, they sell into people, and these people they're getting people to interested in the product, and these people are now ready to buy. So she's like, you know what? Yeah. So he tells her, okay, well, I got somebody that I think I can trust that I want to bring in on this, right? And he tells her it's his brother, right? She's thinking with his brother that it's going to be someone that, another blue-eyed white boy. Girl, it ain't a blue-eyed white boy. It's a black man. It's a whole-ass black man. So then we see, let's see. Because there's two scenes that I just noticed in my notes that I put out of place. So I'm gonna talk about JP and D-Mac because these two scenes I put out. Well, actually no, D-Mac. We saw D-Mac at one point in this episode. He was following Tommy around, and Tommy knew that he was following him. So Tommy's like, "Yo, little nigga, why you following me around?" Right? So D-Mac wants to come and work for Tommy. He tells Tommy that he's good with numbers. So he tells Tommy, "Give me some hard stuff. Give me some hard equations." So Tommy gives him some, and he answers all of them correctly, right? So Tommy says, "You know what? I got a place for you," right? So then we later see as we see where we at. We see Tommy and Liliana. Nope, we see JP. So JP is with their grandmother, right? So she's in the hospital. So JP is asking like, who is her emergency contact, right? So when he asked that question, the nurse asked, what room was she in? And then at that moment, the grandmother, she started flatlining. So they went into the room. They tried to resuscitate her, but unfortunately, she passed away, right? So then Tommy is, JP told Tommy this information. JP tells Tommy, I feel like you should call Kate. Tommy says, I ain't calling no damn Kate. He is not calling Kate. So then we see Liliana and the doc. They're in the lab, right? And they're talking about life back in New York. They talk about Liliana's scar and all this kind of stuff. It really wasn't much in that scene, so we're going to keep going. So let's see this scene with JP. I don't know how that scene goes. All right, you guys. So JP, we see JP as he's introduced to Liliana. Baby, Liliana is infatuated with JP, but I'm like, ooh, Liliana, he don't play for your team, girl. He is gay. Gay. So we then see Tommy. So Tommy has followed D-Mac, right? So D-Mac has this like little bitty like tackle box, right? And it has some stuff in it. So Tommy goes and look in the box, and he finds the picture of D-Mac and his father. So Tommy now knows that D-Mac is his nephew, right? Then we see Tommy back at his crib. He's looking at a picture of him and Kate, right? Because not D-Mac, but JP gave him a photo, gave him some stuff, right, of their grandmother. And, he's looking at his phone. He got Kate's contact info pulled up. Tommy ain't gonna pull that trigger and call her. So then we see Tommy and Claudia. They're talking, right? So Claudia tells, Tommy that she's looking to step up. And Tommy says, okay, if you want to step up, you take the club, I got the streets, right? But he tells her, hey, when it comes to your pops, right, like, if he tries to step in and intervene, if he steps in, you got to do what you got to do. I'm like, oh, does that mean take her daddy out? But I do feel like that could happen, that one of those kids will take out their father, right? I do feel like one of those two will take out their father. So then, at the end of the episode, right, we see JP. I think you should have listened to your little. I think JP is the older brother, right? I think JP is the oldest. You should have listened to your little brother. He warned you about Kate. You called Kate, talking about this is your son. Kate was like, Kate, I know she heard a ghost, right? Girl, Kate, you ain't shit. But that's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, share the video, you guys. And until the next one, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, you guys, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.